Kelly here, and I am back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Pretty Pink Posh. I pulled out a lot of different things. I pulled out the Let It Snow, but I didn't use it. I did use the Winter Greetings, the Pine Sprigs, the Winter Foliage. We'll talk about those pine sprigs in a minute. This is like the Christmas add-on holder. I'm going to use the snowflakes out of there, and then the floral wreath. And I pulled out the stripe stencil as well, but I didn't end up using that. I'm going to be honest with you. This is probably one of my favorite cards that I've made in a really long time. I love the color combination. I love all the glitters. And it's funny how it came about. So we'll talk about that in a second. I told you I would tell you about the Pine Sprigs. So the Pine Sprigs is an older set. I've had it for a long time, and it's sold out on the website. However, and I don't know if they're coming back because, as you can tell, those are they're not clipped. So they were probably made by Dyes Direct, which is the dye company that went out of business. And then now everybody pretty much has to produce their dyes overseas. So that one, I'm not sure if she'll reproduce it or not. But they do have pine sprigs in that winter foliage that are almost the exact same thing. So you saw that I picked out some colors of cardstock. I'm going to do some die cutting here. I really wanted to have some color on my snowflakes, but I didn't want it to be kind of like in your face color or solid color. So I have a piece of watercolor cardstock, and I have just picked some like cooler kind of icy colors. These are analogous colors, so they're next to each other on the color wheel, which means I know they're going to work really nicely together and they're not going to create mud. So I can put them all down, smush them all down, spray them with a little bit of water, sprayed my watercolor paper with a little bit of water, and then I'm going to get a nice light wash because watercolors always dry back. Before you die cut this, make sure it's completely dry. You see me with my heat tool here. So you do want to make sure that it is completely dry before you go in there trying to die cut anything out of it. And I am going to die cut several of my snowflakes out of this background. The candy canes out of white as their stripes, and the bow out of, what is that, Passionate Pink, I think, from Gina K. The navy cardstock is in the navy from Gina K, and then the teal, it might be Sea Glass, it might be Dewdrops from Altenew. I'm not 100% sure. And then I also cut the Sentiment shadow out of Vellum. Didn't end up using that either, but that's okay. It's good to see the whole process. And so I'm going to show you a little bit of the die cutting, mostly because see how I'm like continually cutting all of the snowflakes? Well, that kind of creates a little bit of a fun background. So I set that aside because maybe I'll use it later because I'm cheap and I'm not throwing anything out. So see how it's all filled up with different snowflakes? I thought, well, maybe I could do something with that. So we'll have to see maybe later on about it. And then once I'm done cutting those snowflakes out of the colored watercolor cardstock, I'm going to move them over and cut some out of white as well. So let me tell you, I don't have a lot of time in this video because my first class, my color theory for card makers, the first half of it, the introduction part, has been going on this week. And it has been very time consuming, but that's not a complaint. Like, I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to do that, and that you guys trust me enough to come take my classes and listen to the lessons. And so I'm very grateful, but it does mean that I haven't really has as much time for YouTube. Let's go back to the card. So here I'm adding the shadows. I want to color my white, my shadows to my white first. So that way I don't pick it up with any other colors. And then where it's curved, that's going to have the most shadow because it's curved up over itself. And we know any point where two places meet or one object lays on top of the other. So this one doesn't lay on top of the other, but it does curl toward itself. And so that's where we would add the shadows. Then we're going to go into these little sprigs. This is like the easiest coloring here I'll ever going to do. It went so fast because I'm just kind of starting in the center and I'm just flicking out. I'm just flicking out onto those little pine sprigs. I'm not making sure it's even. I'm not making sure it's covered. I'm not making sure nothing about nothing. I'm going to do the darkest color, the mid-tone, and then the lightest color. Sometimes I got all of the pine sprigs. Sometimes parts of the colored cardstock showed through, and either way, I was fine with it because in real life, they're not going to be like solid. You know what I'm saying? Plus, we're going to do another little added technique on top of them. So I'm not overly concerned. So anywho, I've been really busy with that, so I haven't been able to do as much over here. But I did, even though I made this card a little while ago, I did want to make sure to get it up. So now, where did the inspiration for this card come? And I want your feedback, because I very much like to hear what you have to say. So much so that I'm inspired to make card videos by it. I can see what's coming up next. So give me 1 second. The candy canes have their own stripes, and here you can see I did cut them out of pink. Guys, I tried. Okay, I tried to do the little stripes out of the colored cardstock. It is an option for you if you have the patience of Job, and you can and you can go through all of these little finicky bits. It ain't me. Okay, it ain't for me. So I just nixed them, and then I'm going to color them. I know some people are afraid of dark colors with their markers, but I am afraid of spending 1,000 years putting on little teeny tiny bits of die cutting paper that I have to chase all the way around so long that I actually miss the birth of my first grandchild, because I am just ages old by the time I'm done putting it together. I know that some people love them, and I don't want to yuck your yum. I'm just saying it ain't me. Okay, so we're just going to color them. I'm just going to color them the same way, darker on the inside edge, lighter on the outside edge, and I did one that faced left and one that faced right, just so you could see the both of them. So anyway, inspiration for said card. One of my followers, Brandon, I'm talking to you. First of all, Brandon's a great colorist, okay? And he's really fun. He comes into the lives, lots of chit chats. He's joined one of the design teams that I'm on. Really, even when he was just a follower, before he was a teammate, really liked him, still do. And he's very talented. But anyway, in the chat, Brandon made the comment that he had purchased a candy cane die, but he didn't get to use it before the holidays were over, and then now he has to wait until next year, and he's sad about it. Back to the card. So here, this is a flat bow. We're going to color it so that it is a little less flat by adding a little shading on the inside top edge of the bow loops, and then on the bottom edge of the bow loops, and then along the little tails. We're going to leave it nice and light where it's round, and we're going to leave it nice and light in the middle, so that looks like it's going to be standing up. And now, see, I'm not even going to get to tell you the story. But Brandon don't know what I'm talking about. He's probably waiting with bated breath like, girl, what's you talking? What are you saying? So here, we're going to sugar these things, man. We're going to glitter them up, but we're going to do it two different ways, because these things do two different things. So what I have here is some Distress texture paste in the Distress grit paste in Snowfall, which is a sparkling translucent paste with clear glitter for textured dimensional effects. So this already has the glitter in it. Am I doubly glittering it? I am 2 times the glitter, 4 times the glitter. I don't care how many times we have to times the glitter. I'm here for it. So this one is more opaque. It is white. So I'm sprinkling that on I'm slathering that on like frosting with my little palette knife, and then I'm dipping it into the glitter to make sure that it is all glittery and snowy. I'm doing that on the sprigs. The other one that I have is the translucent texture paste. This one is a translucent gloss paste, so it's going to be shiny when it dries. I think they have a matte one as well, but I don't have that because I don't see a world in which I need something that isn't shiny, but that's just me. So this one is smoother and it's clear. So when we put it on, then when we're picking up the glitter, we're only getting the color of the glitter. Now, the glitter is the rock candy. It's Distress Rock Candy glitter. It's a thicker glitter, which is great for kind of like that snowy, sugary effect. I love these so much. In fact, I have extras that I didn't put on my card that are still sitting here on my desk weeks later because I just can't bear to throw them away. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I'll put them on that snowflake card we talked about in the beginning. But anyway, I'm doing this all in my craft catcher. So I'm smearing that on and then dipping it into the glitter or pouring it over top of it. And then I'm just setting them aside to dry. They didn't take very long because I didn't put on like a huge thick coating. But that is also why I started with the Snowfall, because that one I do have a tendency to be a little bit heavier handed with, and I wanted to give it time to dry. But I will tell you, I finished all of these in one sitting. I did not walk away and then come back to them. So these dogs, I'm telling you, you know why? It's because I'm in a rush. And that just is what it is. It's because I'm in a rush. But anyway, so I'm just going to set these aside now that I have them all sugared up. And then there will be one more little glittery thing that we're going to do to this. But the craft catcher has like the little flared corners, so it makes it really easy to pour those back in. I love that. So I like to get more bang for my buck. You guys know that. So I wanted to create a winter wreath. And so I'm using the wreath, the floral wreath at the base, even though that's meant for spring. I'm using it as the base, and then I'm making it winter with the pine sprigs, with the decorations, with the snowflakes and the candy canes and all that jazz. And of course the snow, the glittery snow, right? So anyway, in one of the lives, Brandon was talking about how he he was sad because he wasn't going to be able to use his candy cane thing. And I was like, you can still use your candy cane. Like, that's fine. And he was like, no, candy canes are for holidays. Like, the candy canes are for the holidays. Back to the card. I'm cramming in a lot of stuff here, guys. So here, because I have my wreath kind of already built, I can slide it off in one piece and try several different colors. And this is a really good exercise to do if you can, so that you can see how the different colors work together. So I tried the dark teal, didn't provide enough contrast. I liked the light teal, but I was like, well, let me try the purple because I have that in the snowflakes. That one wasn't bad either. And then the pink also, I liked the pink. It made the lighter teal kind of pop forward, but it really lost my candy canes. So I ended up going back to the light teal with a navy matte. Anybody surprised about the matte? No. If you are, you're new here. So here I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the gluing. I just add a little bit of adhesive. I smush it down, hold it for a second. You do have to give this a little bit more dry time because we have all of that texture and the glitter on the die cuts. You could also put like a weight on it, or I sometimes will stack up my Misties and put it on there, and that's heavy enough to do it. But I am just going to move through until I've glued everything and I can pick it up as one solid piece. So Brandon was like, they're only for the holidays. And I was like, candy canes are not only for the holidays. Candy canes are winter. Are they winter? Are they holiday? I would like your feedback below. Because that was the whole inspiration. I was like, I'm going to use these candy canes in a winter wreath that's just winter. That's not anything to do with holidays. And I think that I can do it. And so I want to know, did I do it? Is this a winter wreath or is this a holiday wreath? What do you think? And so I think it's really fun just how like the little things can kind of inspire us to try things differently. So once I have everything glued, I'm going back in and checking for security to make sure everything really is securely attached. Like here, this little pine sprig came out, and I'm just going to re-glue it. For my sentiments, the vellum covered up too much of my wreath, and like I don't want to cover up any of that glittering that we did. So I decided to cut the another winter greetings out of the navy, and then I stacked them slightly offset to give my sentiment a shadow. The white is kind of like down to the bottom left, and that is creating enough of a contrast for it to be legible without it being too busy. And then these fabulous little rhinestones are going to be our last little extra glittering that we are going to add. And I added them generously. Okay, there's a lot in the pack. And so I just added them as much as I put them in the center of snowflakes. I put them, in between the pine sprigs. I put them everywhere. I really did. I concentrated first kind of like I'm putting them in the center of the snowflakes. And this is also a great use. Like if you have some gem sets that have like the really big gems and you don't know what to do just decorate your inside of your flowers, inside of your snowflakes, things like that. So here is the final card with all of its sugary goodness. So please tell me, team holiday, team winter, what do you think about it? Thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.